Welcome to Tower Technicians. What if you could hang out with experienced tower technicians, industry leaders, and decision makers? Ask them about their experiences, habits, concerns, and frustrations. Then, take an insight or two to guide your own career growth. Each week, Darren Wagner shares an in-depth look at the lives of people in wireless telecom who are always working hard to close the digital divide. His hope is to show you how you can stay safe, grow your career, and reach your fullest potential within the industry. DW is an experienced tower technician who has become an industry leader over the last 3 decades. His goal is to bridge the gap between tower technicians and decision makers within wireless telecom. Now, here's DW.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. I'm Brock, filling in for Darren this week. And who I got with me today is Matthew Keene. He's definitely up and coming. I think that he's a very promising individual with a lot of skills. That poses quite a few different scenarios where somebody's accelerating. How do they get all of the information that they need? How do they get the hands-on training? How do they get that experience as well? And then in some cases, what's too fast? This individual is very, very capable of what he's doing. He brings in a mechanical aspect where he knows what he's talking about when it comes to the physics. So that old angle of the dangle thing, he's already got it down on his way in.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do is just ask you a couple quick questions. As you've been in the industry for how long?
Going on 9 months.
How do you feel about things?
I love it. It's my first job that I've actually wanted to come to work and perform. The atmosphere is awesome. The people are awesome. Things I've heard about the industry.
Hold up, what'd you hear? Yeah, let's back up. Before you even got in, what gave you a wild hair to even look this way?
I was always told, they got these guys that, they climb 1,600 feet, change a light bulb, get paid, I don't know, $100 and some odd per foot they climb after a certain height. Now that sounds pretty cool. Come to find out, it's really not how it works.
What's your background? Where do you come from? What have you been doing?
I'm a real hands-on kind of person. I did electrical for a little over a year as an apprentice. I worked in factory settings where I was sitting there 12 hours a night packaging parts that I didn't like looking at anymore. Seeing the same part come by maybe 1,500 times
right
in an hour, it gets boring. I worked in the restaurant business for a little while. Didn't like it. I don't like dealing with people.
Not a people person.
I'm not a people person, you put it like that, yeah. Other than that, I've worked with my dad doing construction, again, working with my hands. On my free time, I like to work on vehicles and I like to 3D print. Some people, they just download a file, send it to their printer, much like you would do with a document. Download it, send it to your printer, boom, you're done. What I like to do is I like to design my products.
Let me get this straight. You do more custom fab work for yourself and you're trying
Correct.
to fix a problem, and that's why you got the printer instead of trying to
I want to challenge myself. I enjoy puzzles and not your jigsaw puzzles, like actual problems that need to be solved. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be fixed. Let's try something new. Let's design a phone case for tower climbers. It gets pretty fumbly up here, especially with a bulky phone. You don't want it to fall, you don't want it to drop.
Let's talk about how you got acclimated or how you got used to and introduced going through training of any kind, or what did you end up experiencing?
I don't have any experience in telecom before this. I've never had any experience in climbing before this. I came in fresh, brand new. I was put right into training.
What kind of training was it?
Climbing, rigging, rescues, RF safety.
Do you think that it was sufficient for you to do your job?
Yes, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be up here. I couldn't do what I do. Not anybody can come up here. This isn't for everybody.
And now you're not just talking about, the heights itself, but the fact that in order for us to transfer and walk over to the next boom, you got to be thinking about how to actually clip in, what you clip into. Are you set in a strap? How are you positioned off, right?
Exactly.
Okay. What about the old nuts and bolts of things? I know that you probably are down with righty-tighty, lefty-loosey coming on in with your experience, but we have fiber optics, we have radio frequencies, we have torque specs, those kind of things, as well as heights, azimuths, and a whole bunch of jargon that came in place. What was missing from the aspect of training that you think would be able to help improve things?
As I was in training, I had a top hand and a Tech 2 above me that were on tower helping train one guy. Hand was running around getting the work done, and your Tech 2 was taking their time and training the apprentice on exactly what to do and how to do it properly and safely. I'm a very hands-on learner. I can't be told something and like, hey, do this with that.
Right.
I'll figure it out, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Please show me so I don't fuck it up.
But you got to feel it in order to actually get into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you actually had like two people right there giving you that on-the-job training.
Correct.
Things now. So you're in the position of, correct me if I'm wrong, you're Tech 1 going into the position of Tech 2, right?
Yes.
What is different in your scenario right now? What is the difficulty that you're faced with in becoming that Tech 2?
I'm the only Tech 1 on my crew. Should have, your apprentice, Tech 1, Tech 2, foreman. At the moment, I have 2 apprentices under me, and I'm having to take time to train them. Yes, work is getting done, not at the rate it should be. With that being said, I believe we should have another body that knows what they're doing to be able to get these sites finished within a timely manner.
So you're given, go ahead and install this set of booms, just like we did at this site here. But you need to train 2 of the green hands.
Yes.
Do you think that throwing more bodies at the scenario would help? Or maybe, do you think that there is a program or a set of training that would better enable you for that so that you could self-empower yourself in that scenario?
At least another person that knows what they're doing.
So like a coach or a mentor type of a scenario?
Correct. A dedicated on-site trainer.
Every single day?
Not every single day. It doesn't have to be every day. Work needs to be performed and completed. It's got to be performed and completed.
Right.
That doesn't mean go all willy-nilly and knock it out. It means do it safely to the best of your ability and get it done.
You're basically looking to get that edge that you were given,
Exactly.
where you had the extra perspectives, where somebody's concentrated on that scope of work and the other individual is assisting you.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you feel safe at your job?
I feel safe with my equipment, yes. There are times where something may go awry.
What do you mean?
You don't think things through all the way.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. So you have those moments where you get too comfortable on tower,
Okay.
which is a bad thing. It's very dangerous.
Complacency, right?
Complacency is terrible.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing that can happen. Moving around on top of tower, going from boom to boom, place to place. Complacency will have you do what you're not supposed to do. You get comfortable enough to where you don't feel like you're 300, 400, 500 feet up in the air.
Do you feel that way right now talking with me?
No.
You feel like you're 296 feet up in the air?
I'd feel like I'm 296 feet up in the air because this wind
Okay.
is very cold.
There's a lot of people on social media right now that are kind of crying out saying that, oh, I should get paid this much because I show up to work at height.
No, so the zookeeper that takes care of the alligators gets paid the same amount as the zookeeper that takes care of the little old monkeys. Just because the risk factor is there doesn't mean pay should increase or decrease. Pay should be focused around quality and ability to perform.
To me, that's value.
The value of a company comes from the people that work there, the ability to train and to not just pump out workers, but to create good ones.
I think one of the biggest problems that I have seen is that people end up, with these horse blinders, and they're just sitting here as to, I got to hit my numbers, get this particular site done, versus looking at the project and what the next project is, or where's the next market that I can go into. You can't go into another market until this project is finished, or you got enough guys to go ahead and push them out that way. Yeah. And so by growing the foundations underneath you, you're able to stand up higher and branch out.
Yeah.
What type of technical training would be beneficial to you if it was available?
Standards.
What kind of standards?
For example, I was running grounds for our radios, and the way I was taught multiple ways, but the way that I believed looked best was to run it through a bracket. Later on, come to find out, I couldn't do that.
Why couldn't you do it?
It's a ground choke. If I would have known that before, I wouldn't have made that mistake so often. Just simple stuff like that, which it needs to be taught on the job. It's too much to be taught in a classroom. It needs to be taught hands-on right then and there. Hey, this is how this is supposed to go.
Have you had a chance to experience other people that come in from different training programs?
Yes, I have.
I mean, I might be able to read you better than other people, but it seems like you got something to say on that one.
Most of these climbing schools,
when you say most, are you basing it off one or two? Because there's a ton out there, and I don't want to single out the whole set of just training schools as bad. I know of a couple of good ones, so I don't want to set you up for...
I'm just saying most because the ones that I know of, I'll just say, a majority of the climbing schools that I know of,
right,
the people that have come from there, their work ethic is there. What they've been taught does not carry over as well. The schools that I know of, they, like any business, they're in it to make money. They're pumping these climbers out with certifications that they're not ready for. Yes, you can take a test, be knowledgeable in it, and get your certification. Putting it to practice is a totally different ball game. I can read up on how to disassemble and reassemble an engine. Know it back of my hand. As soon as I get it on the table, I'm not gonna know what the hell I'm doing. What's this part? What's that? I read about it. That doesn't mean I know it.
For anybody who's actually either watching or listening to this podcast, they're more than likely doing it on a mobile device. And the thing that makes that possible is what we do. So when it comes to how important, how critical our job is to just society and how it functions today, the fact that if you look out here, okay, somebody's got to call 911 today. And if they're on this particular carrier, they need this to be functioning. Who did that? Who put it in place? Who upgraded it?
The tower technicians.
Okay. Are we, with our value that we give society, are we paid enough?
Overall, I would say no. These carriers are they're the ones making the bulk of the money. They're the ones running the show. No, we're not. In my opinion, technicians aren't paid what they should be. Not because they're working at height and not because of the risk factor. The risk factor is there. From what I understand right now, there's a shortage of tower climbers. What drives people, which it's sad to say, but money drives people.
Individuals that are pulling together, banding together to form a union in the industry. How do you feel about that, or what are your thoughts?
The The benefits that a union provides is pretty good from what I understand about unions.
What do you understand about them?
A collective of people to make sure that things are the way they should be, safe, productive, and fair pay. There are companies out there that skimp out on some aspects of the job, whether it be quality, safety. Unions will help with that. Would I want to be part of a union? Probably not. Only because that's me. It's hard to tell people and ask for that bump up, because it does make it sound like
You're being egotistical?
correct. You don't want to come off as I'm better than these people. I need to get paid more.
I don't want for someone to be paid the same just because they've been around as long as I have. If I'm chipping in and putting in more effort than that guy, because that's usually the problem. Do better work by trying harder to produce a more quality product in a shorter amount of time. The industry needs to realize something right now. This is a climber's market. Tower technicians individually have their own power to empower themselves. The ability for us to educate ourselves, getting a better understanding of what this process is, because it's not just the technician versus the company. What would you want any company out there to change or do to be able to benefit or make the life easier, better for your career?
Expectancy. You can't expect a crew to complete one tower as they did the other one,
Why?
one build as they did the last one.
What do you mean?
There's different factors that come into play on every site.
When the scope of work is basically the same?
Yes.
Okay.
We're given the same man hours for each build. Doesn't matter what it is.
You're possibly going to be dealing with a taller tower, a wider tower, like a four-legger is going to be totally different, where you have up to 20 to 40 foot spreads in between the different sectors, but there's still the three sectors that are there. The towers like this one that are, sitting at 300 feet. A weird, crazy scenario is the fact that you guys can see a guide wire running right there. There's a tower out on this side right behind me that's sitting less than 100 feet away from us. That complicates the scenario. So what I hear again is that brass tacks and numbers, this site that we just went ahead and installed, a lack of consideration in the deadline that you're given or the expectation that you're given, and there's extra pressure on the job. How does that make you feel?
Pressured.
What does that do to your morale?
It brings it down.
What does it do to your motivation?
If you keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed to do same quality of work, same amount of time with more stuff to do, over time you're going to get burnt out.
Are you close to being burnt out?
Within 9 months, sad to say, yeah.
4 weeks ago, I actually heard you say that you were burnt out and you were looking for another job. Are you doing that now?
No,
Why?
I enjoy what I do and I enjoy where I work.
What was the change for you?
I finally got an easy site. I
What
finally
was-
got a site where I can get in there, get my shit done, and get out.
And so you felt like you were able to walk away with a win.
Exactly, yeah.
But when you're pushed into a scenario that's extra difficult, has all kinds of extra headaches,
It adds an extra factor. Yes, it's challenging, and it is. I enjoy a challenge. Like I said before, I like challenges. But when that challenge is being thrown at you after being completed over and over again with the same expectation, or an even higher expectation, isn't viable, isn't possible.
so do you feel, I'm kind of hearing this, that sometimes when you go and knock something out of the park, that is 100% the status quo of how it has to happen every single time?
It's what it's being made out to be, yes.
All right. So what does that do for your productivity?
Initially, it gives you that mindset I'm doing awesome. Let me keep up the work. Let me do better. There's always room for improvement in every aspect of your job, every aspect of your life. When you're getting pushed to perform in scenarios and situations that shouldn't be pushed.
Like what?
Time constraints. Yes, I can get this stuff done within the time you give me. Is it going to be quality? Is it going to be up to par? No. Is it going to be done safely? Most likely not. If you can't get it off safely, then something's wrong. They're pushing for all this safety. You got to be safe when you're doing all this stuff. How can I be safe if I'm not put into a scenario, a situation where I can absolutely be safe?
If you look down, just coming to work is dangerous. Just like stepping outside your door, you could get, struck by lightning.
No doubt.
Have you been trained enough?
To an extent, yes. There's always times where what you've been taught isn't going to help you in that situation. There's always something you're going to run into, no matter what. So I'd say, yeah, I've been taught fairly well. What I know how to do and how to do it efficiently and safely has been taught up to par.
So I think one of the problems that I have with the current tower technicians groups that are out there, that are on Facebook and that kind of a thing, it's a whole bunch of people that are trolling each other. There's no safe place to bring in work, not necessarily to get a merit badge, like, hey, gold star, you put some Velcro on something, but to bring up a problem and to not face all these different trolls. And I don't mean like safe place, like, hey, I'm a snowflake. No matter how many years I've been in the industry, I'm gonna come up to something where I've got to actually find outside counsel to get a different perspective on things. And I wanna get somebody else's opinion. So I present that question to somebody else. I think that there needs to be a forum or a piece on the internet that we can all have that open discussion. There's always going to be a troll or some dick coming across in a way that isn't right. I think that it's important that we know what these issues are, be able to communicate these ideas. That way we can collaborate on different ways to do things. I appreciate you guys for listening today. I hope that it was somewhat informative. I hope that it inspired you to maybe start up a conversation. Definitely do it in the comments of anywhere that you actually find this. Also, follow S2R2. Share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.